Hey, and welcome back to another episode of Love Restore. I'm your favorite host, Marshaun Olaniyan, and you are listening to KCCR Brownstone Cityscapes. So listen, we just wrapped up the series about courageous love and what that looks like. We talked about several different topics. If you have yet to watch any and or all and or listen, because you might be listening, right? Then I would highly encourage you to go back and listen to that. Today we are starting a new series, and we are talking about Black women dating over 40. This is what we're talking about, and we're going to go through a plethora of topics. Today's topic is all about clarifying your intentions before you start dating. I know that this is something that we don't really do. We have a tendency to know that we want to date, and we may even have an idea of what the outcome that we're looking for. But I want to take it a step further. I want to go deeper into this process of being intentional in our lives. So, again, today we're going to talk about clarifying your intentions, what that actually means, and what it looks like. But before I do that, I want to just tell you that Love Restored. Love Restored was started because I had a deep, profound feeling that these topics need to be discussed more often. You see, when I was home as a young tyke, as a young teen, I actually am a PK. For those of you who don't know what that is, I'm a preacher's kid. And as a preacher's kid, you don't have the real world conversations. A lot of the conversations that we have were centered around God and how to show up and be godly and what it means and just talking about the Bible. Get that? Cool. I'm totally fine with that. However, what I've noticed is that the world, once you leave outside of your sphere, outside of your comfort zone, outside of your family, outside of doing the things that your parents want you to do or that you're forced to do, whatever. There is a bigger world. There are several other religions out there, but this piece of it, dating, relationship, marriage, what and how all of this looks like, those talks in most PK specifically kids' lives are not talked about. The deepest conversation that you have is don't have sex so you don't have kids, or maybe there's an STD, but it doesn't really go deep into it because they basically shielded that type of conversation because you shouldn't be having sex before marriage. And that was kind of the end of it. Well, the reality is that most people do have sex before marriage. It's not right, right? According to the Bible, it's not right. According to God, it's not. He made that specifically for marriage. And I don't want this to be a lesson about God and the Bible. However, it plays a part into my upbringing and Love Restored, right? So because I didn't get a chance to have the real world conversations, knowing that I was going to have to leave the comfort zone, the sphere of my parents, and go out into the world and experience the world, I didn't get many talks like that. I also, by the time I left at 18, I suffered with low self-esteem. And I'm sure many of you have heard this story. So I'll just briefly say I got teased as a young tyke as long as I can remember for the color of my skin, and not just the color, but also the complexion, the deepness, the deep rooted, beautiful, dark chocolate. I can say that today, but many years ago as a teen, absolutely couldn't embrace my dark beauty. I couldn't. Now I can, right? But all of that played a part. So I had low self-esteem. I didn't have any talks about relationship, dating, choosing, being chosen on a deep level. I had to kind of figure things out. And the sad part about it is I literally came from a family that I was surrounded by um the my parents as well as my aunts and uncles, and everybody was in a relationship. Now, I didn't realize that everybody wasn't married, but that's beside the point. What I saw, at least during the daylight with the kids being around, was not a lot of toxicity. And so I just assumed that that was what the world was like when I got out there. And so when I finally did leave at the age of 18, joined the US Navy, I didn't realize I was I don't want to say just, but I was absolutely a fresh fish in the water. And I had to try to figure out all of these things. For the first time, I had a lot of men trying to capture my attention. Now, there is other things that go on with that, but let's just say I was not ready for all of this male attention. I didn't know how to handle it. And I made absolutely some mistakes. So, Love Restored is all about trying to talk about the conversations, share the information, share my experiences. So, if I can help you not go down this same road, then I have fulfilled my God given purpose. And I'm not ashamed of my past. I'm not ashamed of my traveled road. It is my road. However, I think that we would do better as a community, as a society, if we actually talk about the things that happen. So, because I was affected, right? The next generation, my child, your children, can stop accepting, expecting, going down the same road, repeating the same things over and over again. I'm literally all about breaking generational curses. And if I can help you be a part of your family in some small way to help you break this generational curse, then here we go. That's all what I'm about. This is why Love Restored was created. So thank you so much for being here. Let's go ahead and jump into the topic of today, which is clarifying your intentions. Again, this series is for dating, Black women dating 40 plus, right? Black women dating 40 plus. So now, let's be real. Dating can feel like a battlefield sometimes, like between mixed signals, unspoken expectations, and even trying to figure out if your potential partner is even on your level. It can be a lot. But here's the truth. The clarity that you bring to the table is the clarity you will receive. Let me say that again. The clarity that you bring to the table is the clarity that you will receive. So today we're diving into the power of intentional dating. What does it look like to step into the dating world with your goals front and center? How can you make sure your time, energy, effort, and love are only invested in what aligns with your true desires? See, this conversation is for every Black woman out there who is tired of the guessing game. You are ready to honor your worth and you're determined to date with purpose. So grab your tea, your notebook if you need it, and let's have a sister to sister chat about building the love life that you truly deserve. Now, sis, before I jump into these topics within today's overarching topic, dating, clarifying your intentions before dating. I understand that most of us have been dating or have dated and even have been married. A lot of it was toxic. A lot of us shouldn't have been in the relationships or marriages that we currently are in or were in, hence the statistic of getting a divorce. I get all of that, right? So what I'm trying to help you do is to show up differently the next time around. If you are a person that's listening to this, then I'm assuming that you have not written off dating and or courting and or trying to get into a partnership that feels good, that feels right, that honors you, where you feel heard, understood, and appreciated. And you're not demeaned in any way. You're not being disrespected. Again, nobody's perfect, and all of these things are not going to fall into place all the time correctly. So I get that. But at the same time, we have to be real with what we're doing. And we also have to take responsibility for the choices that we have made and are going to make time and time again, right? I didn't say any of us are perfect. All of us have something to learn, and we can gain a lot by taking or listening to episodes like this and actually taking what you learn from this and doing something about it in your life. If it doesn't apply to you, move on. Take the things that actually do apply to you, utilize them in your life, and watch the snowball effect, the change that actually occurs. By taking this information, watch how much better you show up. Watch how much faster you notice the red flags, right? Watch how much faster you stop sweeping things under the rug, thinking that they're going to be better. Watch how much faster you even start teaching or sharing the information with your friends and family because it's making an impact on your life. And you also see them going down the wrong road, which is where I was talking about these generational curses. If you see somebody going down the road. You can only give them the information, and then they have to choose to do with the information what they will. So you at least getting the information, utilizing it in your life, and understanding that, yes, you've been out the road a time or two. Well, let's do it differently this time around so we can stop perpetuating the toxicity generation after generation. So the first thing that you must think about before, right? Clarifying your intentions before dating is determine if you're emotionally ready to date or if more self-healing is needed. Listen, this one is absolutely imperative. All of them are, but this one really is absolutely imperative. If you know that you have not been able to control your emotions in the past and you put all men in one particular box, and you don't understand that a lot of that is because of the way that you keep showing up, which is why you keep attracting these same type of guys that do the same stuff, but you are emotionally charged. And whenever your feelings get hurt, whenever you get triggered, you do some toxic stuff. You are not ready to date. You have to be able to figure out what's making you toxic. Let's be real. Right? Sis, can we have this conversation and just be real with ourselves? When is the last time that you took a look in the mirror and said, you know what? I probably could have handled me not going over to his house and keying his car. I probably could have handled it better by not slashing his tires. I probably could have handled it better by, after I caught him, literally red-handed, put my hands on the woman when I didn't put my hands on him. Like, if you're going to put your hands on somebody, put it on the right person. I'm not even condoning it. But what I am saying is, if you are in this toxic state, don't focus on the woman. 9 times out of 10, she ain't even know you existed. There are some women that do know that you exist and they're still going down that road. But you don't necessarily know if she's one of those people because you didn't have the conversation with her. Unless, okay, let's be real, she was somebody in your sphere, in your circle, and she absolutely knew the two of you were a couple doing y'all thing, and then she interjected, he did whatever he did, and they did whatever they did. That's a different story. But if it's a stranger, you have no idea if this lady knows that you even exist. Because most of the time, liars lie. Most of the time, cheaters that cheat don't cheat with somebody that know that you exist. Most of the time, they think that they are his only. Just like you thought that you was his own. I'm digressing. What is your intentions? Are you emotionally stable enough to date? Or do you need to work with a coach, a therapist, a psychiatrist, talk to your pastor so you can try to figure out and knock down a lot of these triggers so you can actually show up as an adult? Can you show up as an adult? Are you able to say, you know what? I don't like the way you just talked to me, instead of matching the negative toxic energy? This is how we break generational curses. This is how we show up differently. This is how we know that we are growing. This is what the mature crowd does. Are you emotionally ready to date? Or are you fueled by and with toxicity? Another thing that you must determine before you start dating, the clarification, so you can be intentional about dating, is thinking about whether or not you want to cohabitate, you want a marriage, you want just companionship, you want a partnership, you want an open relationship, you want a closed relationship. Like, what is your intentions about the type of relationship that you want? I have my own ideas of what we should be doing when we're dating, but it doesn't matter. It's my idea. This is what I want to do, right? You don't have to do what I want to do, just like vice versa, right? But you do have to know where you're at before you go out there. Because if you are marriage minded and you never clarify this and you out there with a playboy, why would you think that you're going to get what you want? Have you had said conversations, or are you just going with the flow? Here's the thing with being intentional. You cannot just go with the flow when it comes to the important things. Let me clarify that. You can absolutely go with the flow with just what the date is going to be. He wants you to show up and be here at this time and y'all meet. That's going with the flow. Okay, cool. You don't need to know all the details. But when it is with things that truly matter about the outcome of what your life is going to be, the child or children you will bear with this person, procreate with this person, and even raise with this person, we got to think bigger, deeper. And maybe, because I'm talking to the mature crowd, maybe you like kids ain't my thing. That's okay. That's okay. But I work with so many clients that don't even know this part. They can't even clarify what they want. Sis, if you can't clarify with you what you want, and this is just the very basic. If you can't clarify that I want to be in a marriage, if you can't clarify, you know what? Marriage ain't for me, but I would love to have a cohabitation. I would love to be in a long-term committed relationship without the title or what people call piece of paper, the marriage certificate. I'm not condemning either one. What I am saying, you got to know what you want. You have to know what you want before you go out there. This is how you clarify your intentions before you go out there. So when you do get out there, if you have somebody that is not on your same wavelength, that is not on your same level, as I spoke about earlier, that's okay. You don't have to condemn him. You just have to know what you want. And if your ideals are not in alignment, guess what? You can simply say it's okay and walk away and save face and save yourself from all the heartache and pain that is absolutely surely to come. And here's the thing. You have to be able to say it does not matter how fine he is, because fine is cute in the beginning, but fine and being unaligned does not fare well later on. You still end up in the same situation that you didn't want to be, which is a breakup or a divorce. So why even do that to yourself? Be able to assess what your personal goals are. Marriage, long-term committed relationship, companionship, partnership, whatever. Is it going to be open? Is it going to be closed? And be willing to have said conversations early on. Am I saying on the first date? No, I'm not. However, because I feel that there should be deeper conversations even with the first date, the first meeting, you should be assessing this stuff to even see if you want to go out on the next date with this person. And then you go out on the next date and that one goes well. And then you still assess. You walk away, you allow those endorphins to go down, and you reflect on how you felt about the person, the man. You also reflect on the type of conversation that you had. You also reflect on how he made you feel. You're assessing how he showed up with other people. There's a lot to dating. And you're not just going along with the flow when it matters. That's what I'm talking about. Please hear me. If it matters, if it's something that's going to change the trajectory of your life, of your child or children's life, because maybe you have children before you want to date again. I'm in that boat. I have a daughter. I'm actually intentionally not dating in this stage of my life because for a few reasons, but I'll just say two. The first is she's 8. And I am not willing to I am not willing to get him to sacrifice her. She takes up a lot of my time, energy, and effort right now because I am being very intentional about making sure that she knows that she is loved, she is heard, and she is seen. But don't get that twisted. I'm not opposed to dating. I just also understand, which brings me to my second point. Most people in my age group, the 40 plus crowd, most people's children are not young like mine. And I know that because she's taken a lot of my time, energy, and effort to make sure that she's able to be a productive citizen when she leaves. Most kids are in college or just not there. They don't have to give the same time and energy that I do. The time that's needed in order to foster a healthy dating relationship, I can't give unless you understand, because we both have young children, and you know that I can't just, for the weekend pick up and go. That's not my life right now. That was my life pre-kids. I was able to do that pre-kids. That's not my life today. And some people do it. It's just not me. I want her to know that she's not being neglected because I chose him. So I'm open, meaning he has to be understanding that she does get a lot of time, energy, and effort. But I also understand that everybody's not going to understand nor even want to deal with it. And I have to be okay with it. So if you're in that situation and you have a young child or young children, you have to understand that there is a lot that goes into the dating process and vetting someone to not only be in your life, now you also have to give them access to your child or children. And that is another thing. So three things, this is the third thing that I'm also weary of, because let's be real. And I'm gonna stop it after this because I feel like I'm preaching down another road. But because studies have been able to show this things, more and more children and even some of my clients that I work with today have been abused, i.e. molested, i.e. raped by people that they know, is what I would say. Step parents, yes, but just people in their sphere that they know, family friend, a cousin, an uncle, a blah. Okay. So there's that too. There's a lot that goes into at least me opening my world up to someone to be able to come in and be a part with my young child. These are things that I have to assess and think about. And you have to think, where's your world at? Where are you at? So you can assess if you are ready to be out there in the dating market. Your heart might say, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. But is your life set up like that? Which brings me to the next thing that you must think about, reflecting on the lifestyle compatibility. See, I just talked about one of them, which is your family commitments, my family commitments. Today, it don't really align with dating someone 40 plus, because if he has kids, whether he has kids or not, if he has adult children, we don't align in that. If he doesn't have kids, what I found, as well as what I'm hearing from more and more clients that are in my situation, meaning younger children, they are finding that men that do not have kids do not understand why they cannot just pick up and go, or why they're always doing X, Y, and Z when they're calling. Raising children take a lot. Just like creating the foundation in a relationship takes a lot in the beginning, until the two of you have come to, instead of it being rocky, you've come to smooth sailing. And that water is just beautiful and crisp. But in the beginning, it is a lot of bumps because y'all trying to figure out each other, and y'all trying to figure out the compatibility of one another's lives. And you're trying to figure out if this person is a workaholic. So do your lifestyles reflect? Excuse me, not reflect. Are your lifestyles compatible? Do you want somebody that is home at night for you to cuddle up next to? Or are you okay with someone traveling? Right? I had a client recently where her and her husband have been married for decades. And I think the number is 45 years, but don't quote me on the number. The number is decades, though. They've been married for a really long time, but they have never once lived under the same roof. They have found out that this is what works for them. They actually live in two separate homes in separate states and they visit each other often, but that works for them. That's not a traditional marriage, as we know. However, I applaud her and I applaud him because they decided to create the marriage that works for them. They see each other often. They talk on the phone often, but they do not live in the same household. Yes, they visit one another's spaces. So literally they're visitors because they don't have to deal with the daily stuff, the in and out, the things that's going to drive you crazy because you don't do them and your spouse might do them, right? So how is your lifestyle? And what are you looking for? Be able to articulate that, or at least, like I said, assess it when it comes up. Also, you have to evaluate what your non negotiables in this phase of your life are. When we don't understand what our non negotiables are, again, and if we come off as needy and or desperate, we are just willing to go with the flow. Again, this is the important stuff. I don't want you to go with the flow with the important stuff. I want you to go with the flow with the easy stuff. This is the hard work that most of us don't want to deal with because when I think or when I hear my clients talk about dating or just getting to the next stage in their life, but specifically to dating, it's like, well, I just want it. Well, why do you want it? Why is this so important? Have you asked yourself these important questions? Are you ready to ask these questions to the next potential? What are you not willing to negotiate on or with? Knowing that is important because, as I mentioned before, the clarity that you bring to the table is the clarity you will receive. Another thing that you must do is to reflect on your past relationships and determine what has worked so you can continue doing that, as well as what didn't work so I can stop doing that. What has worked and what has not worked. The final thing that I want you to consider is literally the types of connections that would add to your happiness. What type of connection are you looking for that's going to add? Because I want you to realize, if you don't know already, happiness absolutely comes from within. It does not come from outside forces. They can add to your happiness, but you already have to be happy or embody happiness. And some people think that I'm a little strange because I am always happy. When I say always, I'll say 98% of the time. I really am. Not being fake. Life gets in the way over here as well. But literally, it is how you choose to allow this stuff to affect you. But I want you to consider these things. Are you emotionally ready? What type of relationship are you looking for? Like assessing your personal goals, marriage, dating, cohabitation, long term relationship, reflecting on your lifestyle compatibility, uh, evaluating your non negotiables, identifying all of these things, clarifying all of these things with intention before dating is going to set you up for much more success. Absolutely much more success. Because when you date with clarity and purpose, you set the tone for the relationships you allow into your life. So I want you to take a moment today and ask yourself, what do I really want from this season of dating? And then the answers that you uncover will guide you towards a path that aligns with your worth. Assessing your goals for dating is going to help you. Being ready to ask the tough questions along the way, being able to assess each dating experience. How do you feel after this dating experience? Do you want to go out on another date with this guy? Does he seem like he is in alignment with your lifestyle? You could see him as a part of it or not. Do not ignore the red flags, because that's when you set yourself up for a world of disappointment and failure. Listen, I really, really appreciate you all being here for these 30 minutes with me and sharing this space. Understanding that I, Marshaun Olaniyan, help Black women over 40 to show up differently in your relationships using powerful strategies for lasting change. If this sounds like something that you want to talk further about to see if we would be a great fit to work together, then absolutely reach out at Marshaun at MarshaunOlaniyan.com. I look forward to speaking with you once again. And for those of you that are listening, I look forward to you being here to hear even more, because next week we are talking about avoiding relationship patterns that no longer serve you. I'll see you then. Have a great morning, night, or evening whenever you're listening to this. Bye.